Take two. What's up, everyone? Me hanging out melting some glass. I got a neat video by Redacted News that somebody sent me today, and I definitely like Redacted. And it's good information, man. So, yep, thanks for stopping by.
Well, it turns out that the United States intel agencies have been running tabletop exercises on this exact scenario, and now the Department of Homeland Security head Mayorkas says the greatest cyber threat to America is something called killware. So what's really going on here? Are we being set up for a massive false flag? And investigative journalist Whitney Webb has been writing about these cyber attack tabletop exercises for years, and she's been exposing what they've been up to. And then this week we had a crazy quote-unquote cyber attack that seemed to shut down half the internet this week. Banks and Rumble was down. And what exactly is going on here? Are we being played like a fiddle? Whitney Webb joins us right now. Whitney, when you saw this big cyber attack unfolding this week, did you say, oh, here we go, or is this maybe perhaps totally unrelated to your investigation?
Well, I would keep in mind, for those that may not remember, a few years ago, the head of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, talked about a cyber pandemic, right?
Right.
Which implied that that there was to be in the near future what he described as something having significantly worse consequences for people worldwide than COVID. That was going to be, a cyber pandemic, meaning a series of cyber attacks. So I think that's essentially what's being foreshadowed here. And I think, if we follow some other warnings, like we talked about last time, it's quite possible that we'll be seeing an escalation of what we've seen just this past week. But what matters also, and what doesn't get enough coverage, in my opinion, is how the attribution of who's allegedly responsible for these attacks. So if you look at the recent news that allege that some Chinese military-linked group called Bold Typhoon was embedded in U.S. national infrastructure, the only sources for that cited in those reports as to why that group is believed to be Chinese, and the only groups allegedly finding them in these national systems of critical importance nationally are groups like Maftu, as we talked about last time, helped create the CTIE, and also the CISA agency. Their longtime head, though I don't think he's head anymore, but he was head at the time that agency was created, Chris Krebs, is former head of cybersecurity at Microsoft, and Microsoft also has a lot of connections to CyberRising, a group that's been doing a lot of these tabletop simulations that you referred to earlier. And then the other group besides Microsoft is called Recorded Future, and they were created with seed funding from Google Ventures and the CIA's InQtel. And they rarely, if ever, provide any direct evidence as to why a group is Chinese or Iranian or North Korean or Russian. A lot of these groups, including more notorious ones that blame stuff on Russian hackers during like the 2016 elections, like CrowdStrike, for example, more often than not, they don't give any actual evidence. They say, we suspect, or this group behaves similarly to a group that is, of these various nationalities, and we need evidence, especially with WikiLeaks' release of Vault 7, that the CIA and affiliated intelligence agencies in Five Eyes and beyond can blame any nation state they want by placing false fingerprints of various nation state actors in attacks, cyber attacks they actually conduct themselves. And the importance of that, when you're talking about attribution, is that, who's to blame for this catastrophic cyber attack? And it's very possible to have, an extreme psyop conducted on the American population that could push us into, World War III, which I think, the risk of that is much clearer to people now than it was even, a few months ago.
Yeah, Colonel Douglas McGregor on our show has openly pointed out he believes that they may end up canceling the 2024 election, that martial law will be put in place, that there will be some sort of move to push Biden into a martial law situation. The 2024 election would be canceled in some capacity, and it will be totally controlled. And of course, you're reporting with these tabletop exercises seems to suggest that this need for martial law would come as a result of a massive cyber attack. So can you talk about these tabletop exercises and what these agencies have been planning? And I mean, it's amazing to me that they're literally planning. They've got the paperwork, they've been running the operations. This is not a conspiracy theory, they're laying the groundwork for this.
Yes, so the exact scenario which Colonel McGregor discussed on your show has been simulated for years by the FBI, DHS, and various police departments, not just in the U.S., but also I believe they had one in the United Kingdom as well. And the company responsible for this is based in Boston. They're called CyberReason. They're a cybersecurity company with very overt ties to Israeli intelligence. And essentially what they conducted in this simulation was an attack on the election, but it wasn't an attack on election infrastructure. It was an attack on critical infrastructure, and also things like hacking traffic lights to cause accidents and kill people in car accidents, hacking self-driving cars to run over people waiting in line to vote, and hacking power grid and all sorts of things like that. So why are they conducting simulations supposedly about election security, but there was nothing about voting machines or, election infrastructure at all? It was about just murdering innocent people and destroying critical infrastructure, or, jamming it, essentially. And then, not that long after, the head of DHS, Alexander Mayorkas, said that this exact type of hacks, which he referred to as killware, is going to be the next big cyber attack. Which of course is deeply unsettling. And even more unsettling is that CyberReason, the head of CyberReason, Lior Div, says that his work at CyberReason is a direct continuation of his service to Israel's Signal Intelligence Agency, Unit 8200. And while there, Lior Div specialized in offensive cyber attacks targeting other nations, not unlike Ohad Zadenberg of the CTI. And it's important to mind that the head of the WEF, Partnership Against Cybercrime, that's leading this push for a regulated internet due to a coming cyber attack on critical infrastructure and the financial system, is an Israeli intelligence operative named Tal Goldstein that essentially created the model by which the companies that Ohad Zadenberg and also Lior Div, CyberReason, follow, essentially, basically, the policy Goldstein created back in 2012, while Netanyahu was prime minister back then, and of course still is now, is that Israeli cybersecurity operation, or cyber operations that were previously conducted by Mossad or other Israeli intelligence agencies that used to be done in-house are now going to be done through private companies. And that same year, for example, 2012, is when CyberReason was created by Lior Div, who says that his CyberReason is a direct continuation of his work at Unit 8200, which was offensive attacks on other nations. So just really crazy when you again consider what we talked about last time, that Israeli intelligence has a deliberate policy of getting the U.S. to preemptively, or at least attack Iran first when they want to bring in a regional war into the fore. So
it's incredibly troubling. We think about when we know that they can place digital footprints, digital fingerprints on anything, and they can claim, oh, it's Iran. Yep, you know, the reason all of your banks are down, you can't get access to your monies because, you know, Iran just launched this massive cyber attack, and we're telling you that that's the case because Israeli intelligence is telling us. How can we believe them at all? And then what are we to do? Launch some massive military strike against Iran?
And this is why evidence matters, because all of the companies, essentially up to now, that are being reported in mainstream media as the ones attributing blame to these nation states are either funded directly by the CIA or Unit 8200, or people related to these intelligence agencies.
People, wake up.
And we need better evidence than that.
Wake up. I mean, I hope people are paying attention to this, and people can yell and say whatever they want. They can say, that's anti-Semitic, whatever. Go, jump off a bridge. It's ridiculous. Like, these people are funded by these intelligence agencies. You are not stupid. Please, people, wake up and pay attention to what they're doing. And you're seeing, of course, runs on banks. You're seeing people concerned about how are they going to be able to get cash. They're driving us away from cash. They're driving us towards a central bank digital currency. They're driving us away or towards digital and away from cash. You already see what the European Central Bank is doing to limit your ability to use cash. You will be considered a terrorist on the gray market if you use more than, I think it's 1,000 euros for a transaction. That comes right out of the mouth of Christine Lagarde. That's policy now. So I think you're starting to see the scarcity of cash, and then of course the concerns about getting access to your digital banks. Very, very troubling if they can manipulate all of that with the flip of a switch.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very disturbing, and the only way to get people to agree to give away all of those freedoms is to have them scared and panicked about something. And again, like we talked about last time, I think the extreme involvement of banks in a lot of these simulations, whether it's Cyber Polygon or other things that are similar that went on through this WEF partnership against cybercrime or the Carnegie Endowment's equivalent program, it's very, they know that things are going to get bad in the financial system, and they don't want to be to blame this time, at least publicly, but they were in 2008. So what better way to not only absolve yourself of blame and be able to blame some faceless hacker, but also push for the predetermined solution that you want to impose on people, than having this cyber attack where we have to have a completely regulated internet and have to be able to tie people's digital IDs to everything they do online, and then, of course, to their money as well, because it's not just a push for ending online anonymity, it's a completely related push to ending financial anonymity as well. And we're seeing this also with major efforts of the DOJ, a member of the WEF partnership against cybercrime, to go after all of these crypto exchanges to surveil people's transactions there more than ever before. I mean, if you look at what happened with the recent settlement with Binance, now the U.S. government can surveil transactions to an extreme degree compared to how it was before. And I think that's likely to keep progressing as some of these new policies promoted that are being sought by the U.S. Treasury, for example, get approved. There's not just there's a coming push to push all of our money into the digital realm, and it's happening alongside an unprecedented push to surveil that digital money. So people need to be very aware that there's a lot of Orwellian solutions that are going to be pushed in the wake of this apparently coming cyber attack, aside from the war angle. And it's a very deeply unsettling situation. But to go back to these simulations for a second, I mentioned the things that they talked about doing, but I did forget to say that what they concluded was that there was going to be the election canceled and martial law declared. Essentially what they were doing in that simulation was finding the precise things that needed to happen in order to trigger that response.
So what are the precise things?
Why is DA and the FBI studying that with this company tied to Israeli intelligence, which, by the way, is heavily partnered with Lockheed Martin and has access to a lot of U.S. military systems directly.
Unbelievable. So let's be precise then. What specifically, as a part of the Cyber Reason tabletop exercises, did the FBI and the intelligence community put together that said these certain items need to happen in order for martial law to take place, President Biden to become dictator, basically?
That's what's up, the Watchmen News.
Election. What precise things would have to happen in these tabletop exercises through this cyber attack?
Well, these simulations happened during the Trump administration. back around the time of the 2020 election. And essentially it was a team composed of employees from CyberReason, almost all of which were veterans of this particular intelligence service. And the people that were trying to defend against these cyber attacks in the simulation were DHS and the FBI. Essentially, you had CyberReason employees gauging the reaction in order to obtain this particular outcome. But again, you have Alexander Mayorkas, after the simulation takes place, saying that same exact type of attack, these killware attacks, are going to be the next big thing. And,
but what would trigger? But what would trigger? What would trigger something that would rise to the level of martial law? I mean, it happened at the tail end of the Trump administration, so now it's under the Biden administration, and then we're heading into the 2024 election. Is it, electric grid collapses? Banking system collapses or is blocked, and that's
what's up, man.
What would trigger it? What would trigger it?
I'm actually working on a cork jar.
It didn't even go that far. It was much smaller. It was things like, again, the hacking of self-drivers, of traffic lights.
I got a big bag of these wine corks at Goodwill for like $4. I got I think over 100 of them. So I'm going to see if I can neck this down just a little bit, and I might need a little bit more length on this to get a bigger body to it for a corked jar, but something I can use. These are a little bit smaller corks than I normally would use, so I've got a bunch of them, so I figure I might as well try to get a product like a smaller size jar that I could get out.
And a lot of emphasis on social media and misinformation.
So it's that small? It's just traffic lights and misinformation?
Causing panic and fear and people being run over by self-driving cars. Which, by the way, Vice did an investigation where they interviewed people from the 200 years ago about how simple it is to hack not just self-driving cars, but
well, I was a part of a big investigation. We went out to Pittsburgh and we sat with hackers who managed to hack into these cars and I drove them. And I was driving it, I had total control myself, and then they remotely took control of the car and ran me right into a ditch. To show us that they could take total control of the car. And we had it all on camera, and we filmed the whole thing. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't control the wheel. I couldn't do anything. They ran me right off the road, and it was for a segment we were filming it to understand how this technology worked. They almost ran me right into a tree, by the way. And they later apologized.
Yeah, brother, I've been doing like a spoon type.
We were going pretty fast.
So like a glass spoon.
Ran me right off into a tree in a ditch.
And
so yeah, they can do this.
Yeah, I can.
And this was 8 years ago. Imagine how sophisticated
I'm
the
corresponding with
technology is now.
some people right now through email. For an order.
Again, it's definitely disturbing.
So however you want to exchange info, I can send you some pictures, show you my portfolio,
extensively this has been
and
aimed out by our national
possibly do
security
custom
agencies.
orders as far as like
Think
certain
tanks take to national
colors if
security.
I have
A
them
lot
on
of these
hand.
Contractors either tied to U.S. or Israeli intelligence. And in talking about all this stuff, I'm certainly not trying at all to pick on Israel, but what I do want to emphasize is that a lot of conservatives specifically have a blind spot here. Israel, just like the U.S., has a deep state, and it has for a very, very long time. And if you go back to events like Iran-Contra and every sort of CIA scandal, essentially, from then on, the Israeli and American deep states collaborate very, very frequently on all sorts of things. And I think that's likely what we're seeing here as well in terms of this buildup, and it's, again, incredibly unsettling. And I do want to make clear that both the American deep state and the Israeli deep state have no problems killing their own people to get what they want and advance their ultimate goal of more power and control and money for themselves.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. We've seen that. Well, they will kill presidents of the United States. We know that they've done that as well. JFK. I'll get you out of here on this, Whitney, which is this week we saw this massive cyber attack, if you want to call it that. Where do you think the fingerprints there lie with this cyber attack this week as you're studying how this thing was unfolding this week and listening to
they just legalized it in Ohio too. I think it's 6 plants
total
per
China.
Are you
household.
referring to the one that was blamed on China, or the
Yeah.
one on Rumble that you also mentioned? Okay, so
Well, I think it was
as far
also
as
yeah,
the China,
If you want to send me an email, it's YourFreedomRising@gmail.
Netflix was down. All the banks.
So
were
same
getting
name as
hit,
YouTube at
allegedly.
Gmail.
But
Your
here
Freedom
immediately it's
Rising.
China.
Just shoot me an email.
yeah. So
And,
again,
we'll correspond.
I don't
What-
think you really read the
what part of the-
articles, I believe
what part of the
were put up
country
by
you
the
in?
Washington Post that got a lot of circulation.
We just
on
passed
these
it in
attacks.
Ohio.
I
Here.
didn't have time to dig too deeply into all of the reporting on it. But in those particular articles, it didn't talk about so much what the alleged attacks were more that it was a lot of probing, or that they were embedded in national infrastructure seen there, this particular group, which again they referred to as Volt Typhoon. And the article itself was mostly people from think tanks or former national security talking about Chinese hackers, and there was really very little substance as far as to what the actual attacks or probing were, and how they know that Volt Typhoon is affiliated with China, and essentially nothing on why they believe it's affiliated with China. And again, what was said about what they were actually doing came from this group, Recorded Future,
Okay.
which was created with CIA money.
If I had to
And
guess,
then,
you're probably like 3 or
this
4
other,
hours away from me.
And then Microsoft, which again
Which isn't that far,
deeply
really.
embedded with the CTI,
I'm like northwestern
cyber
Ohio.
and all other sorts of stuff, and obviously through its affiliation with people like Bill Gates is definitely a big part of the push for globalism more broadly, and all other sorts of things. And it's important to keep in mind that Microsoft is a major contractor for the U.S. national security state, and also for the Israeli national security state.
And now Ukraine.
And want to have their software put on all voting machines. It's called Election Guard. I wrote about that software back for Mint Press News a few years ago, and it's directly affiliated with NewsGuard, the censorship engine that's been under fire, and I think recently sued by some big names as of late. If NewsGuard was engaged in malfeasance, do you think Election Guard won't be? I would be kind of naive.
Right. No, Election Guard is going to save us. Exactly. Oh boy. I mean, George Orwell must be rolling over. It's unbelievable. Whitney Webb, as always, thank you so much. I encourage all of our viewers to go and read Whitney's great website. It's unlimitedhangout.com, right? Have I got the URL correct? Unlimitedhangout.com.
Yep.
You can check Whitney's great reporting and investigations, following the money, and so hopefully people wake up when they hear these stories. When they read a Washington Post story, they understand where this money's coming from.
I was
Whitney, great to
somewhere.
see you.
I was
Thank you
just
so much.
on across the border
Thanks for
into
having me again.
Illinois recently.
Thank you so much for watching this segment
Doing
here
some
at
work.
Redacted. We
Yeah,
are
it was like
live
4
every day at
hours, I
4
think.
p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.
No living being should ever eat processed food for every single meal in their life. Good, real food is simple. It looks like food. It smells like food. It's what dogs are supposed to be eating. We really don't want people to think of feeding food like ours as spoiling their dogs.
It's amazing to me how many people write in about their dogs changing for the better. The farmer's dog is just our way to help people take care of them.
This is what just 10 pounds of body fat looks like. If we want to drop this, we got to take our metabolism from this to this.
This is a metabolism killer. This is a metabolism killer. And even this is a metabolism killer. The sad reality is most people eat these foods every single day and wonder why they can't lose weight.
The best way to burn fat and get shredded is not keto, paleo, it's not carnivore, it's not vegan, and it's definitely not super intense exercises like this. That ain't how you lose weight. Cardio burns fat, right? No. Cardio actually burns calories, usually in the form of carbs in the bloodstream that are then replaced with the very next meal that you do eat and stored as more fat. This is why even when you eat low-calorie foods or you run for an hour a day, you get softer, but you don't actually lose any weight. And this is one of the biggest reasons why most weight loss attempts fail within the first 3 weeks. The truth is that Hollywood's elite actors and actresses, they can get super ripped because they followed a long-ignored technique that was used for generations of bodybuilders and athletes before steroids were even popular. So what's their approach? Well, they ruthlessly cut through the fluff because they have zero time to waste because their next film role is starting in just a few weeks, and so they can't waste time on the wrong
Oh
program.
wow, the Watchmen
Cut out carbs,
news.
sugar.
Supposed to get on Nashville,
Not
took the
things
Knoxville
that
bus.
I gained it back so fast this
Whoops.
time. I feel like I've done it the healthy way. I've lost 30 pounds. Just
Head over to thebestsongever.com and purchase our new hit, Together Again. It is a cover of Smokey Mike and the God King, that's Jeremy Boring and Michael Knowles, and with your help, we will smash our way onto the Billboard charts. I've got bad news for you, okay? We know we can sit here, talk about the importance of journalism and fear about what's to come in 2024, but the Prophet of Doom, a psychic,
Yeah, it is
has
therapeutic.
predicted cyber attacks, natural disasters, and a Russia-China alliance. Well, the Prophet of Doom says so. I mean, look at this guy. He knows. So that's it. That's it, boys. Pack it in. You may as well just flee to El Salvador while you still can, because we're here.
Who is this prophet of doom?
He claims to see into the future, and he says that there's going to be. He's got some serious predictions. Big floods will engulf London and Europe. A new pandemic in Australia, and President Vladimir Putin will trip off this mortal coil.
coffee with Craig. That's the name
You know what's
of
really
the
funny
show.
is like we're kind of making fun of this dude and everything, but what if all this stuff actually came true?
Well, the global cyber attack, that doesn't actually feel like very specific of a prediction for me. It's like being like, there will be an election next year. Like, yeah, we know all sorts of countries will have elections next year. I wish they would have some more specific details. The flood in London is kind of a bold choice.
I think, right, that is a bold choice. I think the best way to go about this would be to claim that a man from the future gave you access to information about what was going to happen. And that's what is going to happen, unless, because telling you changes history, it doesn't happen, but then it's not my fault, it's your fault, actually.
It is interesting. That is a nice caveat to always be like, well,
Yeah.
because I tried to save you.
I travel
you know,
some.
Now,
I'm
now
fortunate
everything's
to
different. I can't rely on
Yeah,
have
that
a
was,
job I do from time to
you guys
time
remember
that
John
involves
Teeter?
traveling. North
There's a
Carolina,
meme thing in like the 2000s.
Florida,
A guy online posting on forums claiming to be from the future.
Tucson,
And showing
Arizona.
pictures of like light bending in a time machine. And I think he was saying that by like 2008, the U.S. would be fractured into 4 different countries and stuff. But of course, he was like, however, that may not happen because I've altered the timeline.
Oh.
There were some really interesting and very intelligent things that he said that made people
Is he the one
like,
who said
wow.
he traveled through time to like 3 specific points in time? He came back multiple times to warn people about things.
Look at this. He's got a, look at this. John Teeter and Time Travel Zero, pseudonyms used on internet forums between 2000 and 2001 by an individual claiming to be an American military time travel from 2036. So you're saying that in 13 years we got time travel? Their post discussed various aspects of time travel and described future calamitous events, including a global nuclear war. The uniform inaccuracy of their predictions and inconsistencies in their explanations has led many to view the story with skepticism. Wait, that was it? I kind of think if a guy goes online and says I'm from the future, that instantly disqualifies it from being true. But, okay, like, maybe there's a 0.00001% chance some time traveler is telling the truth. It was a hoax created by Larry Haber, a Florida entertainment lawyer, and his brother John Rick Haber, a computer scientist. The claims have never been verified, however. Interesting.
I think
Now they know it was a hoax.
I've read a lot about doomsayers throughout the history of humanity, and it's actually more common than I think people realize. It's so easy to say that the worst thing is going to happen and to make the claims about all the risks and how they're all going to fail and that's going to cause the end and the failure. But I think it's way more likely that things are going to march on. It's just a matter of staying still, surviving, having community and things.
I'm with you on that. I think I'm more of an optimist. I think what a time to be alive, what a time to make a difference right now. And the truth is so powerful. I know it's very corny and cliche, and people are probably going to laugh at this, but you have a dark room, there's a little flame, it lights up the room. The truth has that power. It just does, and I think it'll ultimately win as long as people are courageous enough to say it. And historically, in like the Soviet Union, these other countries, they couldn't say it. They had to live by lies. They had to pretend. Even though they knew the truth, they didn't want to say it. And as long as we have the courage to say it, in numbers, I think we'll be okay.
And also the ability to preserve it, which I think storing data in orbit, like we really need to get away from these centralized servers, or at least expand into decentralized storage. The truth can be, unfortunately, on the internet, tweaked in real time.
I don't know where Broadview Heights
No,
is.
it's true. I mean, we talk about this all the time. People, like Netflix, will take scenes out of shows if they decide they're unpopular or incorrect. It's weird that we edit the content that we have. It's like you're unable to preserve an original document, which is crazy. It's terrifying. Do you have any white pill predictions for 2024? Anything particular you think positive?
White pill, I like that question. That's a good premise. As I said, I think the last couple weeks of 2023 are any precursor. I think you're going to see whatever if there's corruption or fraud occurring, like if there's a conspiracy somewhere, I think that conspiracy will be made public for us to see. Now we could argue whether that's going to make a difference. That's a different conversation. So if there's voter fraud, and I don't know if there's going to be enough of it, but if there is, I think we'll see it.
In 2024?
Yeah, in other words, we'll be able to see the fraud happening on the inside. The whistleblowers will come public. They'll reveal it on video, incontrovertible. And now whether that's going to be shocking enough to people who like, for example, hate orange men, bad.
Very bad.
Then I don't know, but I think we'll be able to see it in a way that we've never seen it before, and we're seeing it right. Is that true? We're going to see it in a way we've never seen it before. I've never seen anything like it.
Are you familiar with the apocalypse from the Bible? Like it's a biblical prophecy.
Vaguely.
Entering they call it the end times. Who knows what that actually means? If the calendar's just resetting or something. But it basically means apocalypse means the great revealment. Things are being revealed. And so what do you think about things like neural net, where people are plugging into machines and we can share our thoughts?
I don't know anything about that.
Well, it's just Elon's way of making brain-computer interface a little better than using fingers. You can use your thoughts to communicate on the machine now.
I feel like neural net would be the worst thing for whistleblowers, right? Like if the government or whoever was plugged into your brain, you started thinking, maybe I want to say something about what's going on wherever I
Well, there were reports today, Ashley St. Clair reported that the American Airlines, one of the airlines, was forcing people to download something onto their phone.
The pilots,
to track whether they're talking to James O'Keefe or not. And I just tweeted out, just go to Walmart and buy another phone and just download Signal. But there are efforts like this, but even that, in these other countries, no dissent was historically no dissent was permitted at all. And now you're seeing the opposite effect. Like it's almost, Orwell feared the truth would be concealed from us. Huxley feared the truth would be drowned out in a sea of irrelevance. So the question, Tim's point, I think, was on point, which is that our audience have become so segmented. How do you convince the people that don't agree with you? Don't just play to your audience. Play to the people who don't agree. And to the white pill question, I still believe, that if you expose the truth in such a way, it'll convince the people that don't agree with me. Like, for example, the story on Pfizer or BlackRock or even voter fraud. The problem with the voter fraud I've heard from the right is that I don't think anyone's ever actually proved it. I think it's all circumstantial evidence. I mean, can you name a case where we've really actually proved incontrovertible evidence of massive voting fraud? I haven't seen that. I haven't
massive.
seen that.
That's I guess
Enough to
define
swing an
massive.
election? I personally
No.
haven't. I mean, there's different ways that they coerce, propaganda, the media, but you know what I'm saying? I think that there's going to be people on the inside in 2024 recording this stuff, and there's nothing they can do to stop it.
Hypothetically, would you support like a technology that just blows everyone's minds open so that we can read every human's brain?
I didn't even thought about the implications of that.
Would you
Yes.
support that?
Awesome,
Why?
Watchmen.
Because we're
Yeah,
gonna
it's good hearing
destroy
from you,
ourselves
man.
if we don't.
Have a good
People
evening.
have the right to the privacy of their own
Yep,
thoughts.
I look forward to hearing from you.
I feel like
Look
that's
what we've
so
done to ourselves.
authoritarian.
Look what people did with that. The secrecy and destruction and slavitude that they've done to humans. It's horrific.
I don't like a world where I'm obligated to let anyone read my mind. That sounds terrifying.
I just think that they thought that it's your mind is like kind of out of like our thoughts are not our own.
It's our mind.
It is our mind.
It's the global mind.
I mean,
It's the
obviously
world
we
mind.
have
It's not-
autonomy
it's
as bodies,
My
but
Little Pony. It's our little.
but these
Well,
like,
not really. If it's not my mind, it's not my body, right? I mean, where do you draw this line? Also, like to my point before, that would completely blow up a whistleblower system, right? If your thoughts were public to everyone, we would never have anyone come forward because theoretically they would immediately be imprisoned if they even thought about saying, "Hey, I should report this to someone."
But the corruption would never happen because if someone tried to ruin the
But
system
who's
with like
managing this? The
the
corrupt
whole
government?
species, the entire species would be like policing itself at all times.
Kind of. Whoever's on the top of that structure would be policing it.
I don't think there is a top if it's all
No,
connected.
I don't think it's a good thing, but I think Ian presents a possible future that we've actually talked about on the culture war. The way I describe it is with AI, with Neuralink and all this stuff, what eventually happens is humans will be treated like single cells in a multicellular organism. So take a look at single cells, right? They're all running around doing crazy who's-its and whatnots. They're eating stuff and making more themselves. They're independent in and of themselves. Multicellular organisms, all the cells have clearly defined roles. And within the multicellular organism, like each and every one of us here, sometimes there are rogue actors. They want to be free. They want to be free and they want to do whatever they want to do. And what do we call that?
Cancer?
Yes. And what do we do to cancer?
Pathogens. Usually
No.
we consume them with white blood cells.
We destroy them. And so in a future where we're all Neuralinked and we're all being given our roles and to each according to their need and from each according to their capabilities, what ends up happening then is this nightmare dystopia where you rip the Neuralink out of your neck and you're like, I just want to be me, and then you're hunted down by law enforcement who are all AI-linked mindless drones, and then they destroy you, liquefy your body, and convert you into resource.
I don't think you'd ever want to disengage from the species.
Cancer exists.
I mean, that's true. And maybe what I'm saying is I'm looking at stripping humanity of joy and pain and love and hate and all these things that make it so wonderful but awful to be a human. But at the same time, man, those kids pulling cobalt out of the mines in Africa where people are just like, no, it's not, look at that. Like, come on, man. It's like, how many thousands of kids are getting poisoned right now clawing at that stuff for us to get our cell phones?
And yes. And now, do you weep for the skin cells that die and are reflect off your body? In an AI neural net world, when your brain is plugged into the machine, you'll know all about it, and you will not care. The people who are mining the cobalt won't care either. They'll just be the dead cells flaking off into the wind.
But I feel like we would be working out of our way to make sure humans don't have to suffer through that stuff if we were all one unit.
If your brain is linked to a neural net where everyone is like one hive, they wouldn't be suffering. There would no longer be a you. They would be mindless drones.
I don't think they'd be mindless.
They'd be mindless.
I don't think we have to worry about this prior to November 24, correct?
I think you're right.
I think let's take it 1 year at a time because there's a lot going on.
You want to answer these big philosophical questions
Well, no, I
with
mean
us?
it's a fascinating Pandora's box. But to get back to this coming this is the last show of the year, right, Tim?
This is the last show of the year.
So a truly free press empowers people to make decisions for themselves, and that's what this movement is all about. I mean, the press is putting things in simplifications and stereotypes and obfuscation and all types of carefully woven tapestry of words that obfuscate, and then you just have Elon Musk's X and whistleblowers. And this is all about empowering people to make decisions because they have access to information they previously did not. And it's the lack of transparency in the world that is the advantage to the evil. So the theory, the white pill, is by making the world more transparent than it's ever been. Not mind shit. I don't even know about that. That's a metaphysical thing that I have to sleep on that. But let's just take it to the next level. Just having access to inside of airlines, inside of the DHS, inside the IRS, inside the FBI, if those walls could talk. Imagine if the American people could see that and hear that for themselves. Imagine that. I actually think that the whatever the outcome would be the correct one. But right now, people have no idea what's happening, and we're debating facts. It's the greatest tragedy of modern society is we debate facts. Why are we debating facts? We should.
His only crime was being born into a cruel world. A world where he is only valued based on how much pain he can withstand and keep on going, fighting for his life, with no one fighting for him. We will, little one. We will.
Attention bargain hunters, don't miss out. Here's a free backpack. Take it. It's yours. We're doing an experiment for today only, to see if anyone actually watches these ads or reads the caption that says free. Most hover their finger over the skip ad button until it hits the 5-second mark. So we want to know who's really watching and reward them for paying attention. So click the button below to claim your free military grade backpack now. No hidden fees or charges. They're really free because we're running this one-day experiment on an all-purpose backpack for camping, hiking, and exploring. All we ask is for you to cover the shipping. This is your only shot to grab this bag, because we'll go broke at the rate we're giving these out. Tap the screen now to snag one before they're gone.
Shouldn't be.
But we've made so many things subjective, right? They shouldn't
be.
They shouldn't be, but there is a whole bent of like, I mean, I'll bring it up every show, but like the gender stuff, right? Saying, well, gender is different than sex, and this is why you feel this way, but actually this is
That's one thing. I think that there's economic incentive to focus on these kind of issues that divide them.
So wouldn't that be true for anything that is a fact that people try to manipulate? You probably have an incentive to do so.
Corrupted, coercive power of the federal government. The weaponization of the federal government of innocent Americans. I think these are winning issues, and the majority of people. I also think chopping off private parts off little boy, that's a winning issue. 90% of people think that's wrong. I think if people could see and hear the stench, the rot for themselves, that's why I'm a white pill guy. Because I know it's going to happen. It's already happening.
And you have people who come from inside, come out and tell you, hey, I want to talk about this because I think it's wrong.
Yeah,
that must be a very uplifting experience.
It's a heavy experience. It's heavy. And actually, Tim, one of the things I've learned is that, we were talking about this off air, is it's hard for, I got to be careful who I surround myself with.
Oh yeah.
After what I've been through, and I've got all these people contacting me, I got to make sure people on my team, close to me, I can trust them.
Are people possessed?
Parasites, yeah.
I believe so.
Look, the stuff I've learned about your story, the stuff I've experienced, it feels like one day a demon enters their brain and takes them over.
Dude, I think they're literal parasites in your gut. I'm about to do some combo. It's this toad venom. And apparently you puke up parasites and they just come out. Luke Rukowski has a We Are Change video from 7 years ago.
I think there's much simpler ways. The combo stuff is about like experiencing death or something.
Yeah, but also a purge. It's a purge of this shit.
Is this what you're doing for Christmas, Ian? No.
Yeah, I don't know. Ho, 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 baby. Yeah, take me there. No, I'm not doing it shortly after.
Into the weird hippy-dippy injecting yourself with
what I've learned is my fight, and many fights like this, it's almost like a fight against human nature. It's almost like a fight against self-interest, for goodness, or for truth, or for, not betraying your conscience. And there's a lot of people out there who the world is governed by people pursuing their own self-interest. So if you're going to run against that tide, you better make sure the people who are around you share those values, or your partner shares your values. If you're going to be on a mission against self-interest, and I think that's what it's going to take. You mentioned the founding fathers, was it lives, fortune, sacred honor?
So blood, treasure, and sacred honor.
Blood, treasure, and they did that for each other.
They were risking their children. These are guys who were wealthy, had families, and they could have said, look, if we remain loyalists, the king will take care of us, and we let everyone else burn. Instead, they said, I will stand with the people of my community, even though they had landed gentry, and they told the king to screw off.
And they felt their children were at risk either way, right?
What future will I leave for my children?
Yeah.
Then Franklin lost his kid. His son William refused to ever speak to him again because his son was a loyalist. He wouldn't leave
But this is such a modern experience.
Ben was like, I got to do what's right.
Right.
It's my own son.
I think we all know people whose families don't speak to each other because of politics, right? I know people who are like, if you voted for Trump, I'll never speak to you again, right? Like, this is something we still experience today. But if you believe that your country is at risk, if you believe the future of the people you love could be damaged by an outcome, don't you feel morally obligated to act?
William Franklin was imprisoned by patriots from 76 to 78, and he was the chief leader of the Loyalists in New York City, organizing military units to fight back on the side of the British. He went to exile in Britain and lived in London until his death.
And never saw him again.
Crazy.
That's a wild sacrifice.
Sometimes doing the right thing and the hard thing are the same thing. I'm looking at a tip right now. I can't tell you what it is or who it is or where it is, but it's big, and I get these every 10 minutes. Quote, I don't know if this is major news, James, but I thought I would just do the right thing. And it reminds me of a quote by the big tobacco whistleblower, Jeffrey Wygant, 1990s, asked by Mike Wallace, why are you doing this? You gave up everything. He goes, because it's right. He said, because it's right. So there are we could all agree that that's a very tiny fraction of humans who would do that and say that. Therefore, Tim, my fight is a fight against human nature in many regards. You said demonically possessed. When you're fighting against, and we all have demons, right? Every single one of us, unless you're a liar. We all have things that we're ashamed of, perhaps, that we've done. But if you're fighting for good, what's going to happen when you're fighting for good? You're going to be faced with, Tim, you're going to be faced with bad people doing bad things and saying bad things and demons, you could say.
When you say right and wrong, I feel like that's should always be up for debate, because like transparency for the sake of transparency I'm not into anymore. I've considered it throughout life, but like national defense weapons programs like the Manhattan Project, we could not, if people had blown the whistle on that and given the specs to, we talked about this at Turning Point, if they'd revealed open source the data for the nuclear bomb and Hitler got it and built it first, we'd all be speaking German.
Hang on, you the guy who just pitched that all of our thoughts should be public,
well,
are not into transparency for transparency's sake?
If you could flip a switch, maybe, but yeah, there's some things that where you need. That's a good point. Thank you.
But the journalist there's a book written about this called The Custodians of Conscience. The Custodians of Conscience. The information revealer forms the moral values by releasing information and testing and affirming what is and what is not moral. You realize that by going, oh, I called my company OMG. Oh my God. Like when the Pfizer guy is saying, we make fake things to lie to customers to make money, or BlackRock saying we control the world, we bribe politicians. Okay, that's wrong. And that's the kind of role of transparency, is it not? To test and affirm what is and what is not moral by revealing information that shocks the conscience. You're the custodian of the public's conscience.
They're gonna, like, quantum encryption hacking is a big technology. Like 2028, we're gonna start seeing people be able to go in and like open up the last 20 years of your bank records, like everyone on earth, their bank, like, and so is that conscionable to do? Is it conscionable to do it just to some and not to others?
But do people need to know that it's happening is the question, right? Do people know that that's occurring, or should they know that that's occurring?
I think so, but sometimes, yes. In that instance, yes. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes there are things that are happening that if people know, they panic, and that could do more harm than keeping them in the dark.
Then that's the balance that you have to strike as the publisher of the information. Some things should not be. Some things ought to be kept secret. But I think you derive your sense of morality through the reporting process, and the public changes their sense of what is right and wrong based upon whether it tugs at their conscience. The word is conscience, I would say.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.
This woman is an anomaly. Harper's Bazaar magazine featured her on the cover and said she's the author of the world's #1 manifestation method. And as I got to know her story, I got blown away by what she pulled off. Get this, just less than 10 years ago, this woman had only $8 in her bank account.
You say you are morally obligated to do remarkable things.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, I think partly because life is so difficult.
Head over to thebestsongever.com and purchase our new hit, Together Again. It is a cover of Smokey Mike and the God King, that's Jeremy Boring and Michael Knowles, and with your help, we will smash our way onto the Billboard charts. Will Chamberlain tweeted out a quote from Nikki Haley in 2020, saying we should all stand with Bubba Wallace today against the cowards who secretly put the noose in his garage stall. Watch your back, cowards. Bubba has a bigger army than you do. Cringe. Well, we all know about Nikki Haley's cringe, but Will Chamberlain said, meet Trump's VP. I responded, I'll bet you $1,000 he doesn't pick Haley. Will Chamberlain replies, give me 4-to-1 odds and you're on. My response, if Trump picks Haley, I'll give you $4,000. If he picks anyone else, you give me $1,000. Will responded, and if it's a push, if Trump doesn't win the nod, if so, deal. And I said, let's get it, bets on. And he said, all right, bet. I am so confident. I actually don't know if it's a real bet or we were just joking, to be completely honest.
No, it's real. It's in writing.
Yeah.
Contract.
The world's going to hold you to it.
Like, for sure. And I'll stand by it if it is real. But Will may have been trolling, and I'm goofing off. But, in the end, it'll be funny if when Will comes on the show, and then we can, when depending on what happens, if Trump doesn't or does, we'll resolve it. But my point with this is not to actually say I want to bet cash. It's just that I'm confident Donald Trump will not pick Nikki Haley, then I'm willing to make a bet. I'll have to talk to Will and ask him if he was serious about it, but it's fun anyway, and I will, if it is. But I'm so confident that I'm not worried about 4-1 odds.
Yeah, the thing is, the Nikki Haley VP rumor, I feel like it's just the mainstream media trying desperately to say it has influence over the conservative primary or the Republican primary. I think ultimately we know that she is not the VP choice. I obviously think, I've said this a couple times on the show, I think one of the mistakes we make is thinking that the only options for VP are the people we see on the debate stage. There's actually a much deeper deck of potential people anyone could pick from. It doesn't just happen to be who else does launch a presidential campaign. But I think, there's too much bad blood between Nikki Haley and Donald Trump, and I don't think she would garner him any major support anywhere he needs it.
Is that I didn't know they had bad blood. Did they not get along?
Yeah, they sniped each other a ton.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to enjoy working with people that he's sniped with.
Yeah, I mean, why would you, right? We're talking about trust all night today.
Plus Tucker, so this is what you're taking 10-1 odds is what I want to know. Tucker said on stage at Turning Point he would actually advocate against that ticket. If Trump picked Haley, he would say, do not vote for Trump. So I think Trump listens to Tucker. That's why I'm on board. I don't think there's any chance in hell he's going to go with Nikki Haley at this point. Tucker suggested he pick Vivek Ramaswamy. I also suggested that. I think that he would be the right move.
Ramaswamy said he wouldn't take a VP pick when he was here with us when James was on.
Yeah, that was a smart tactic. If you're running for president, shouldn't say I'll accept second place. But realistically, I think that would be because whoever becomes VP is probably going to be the next president.
I'd rather see Vivek go back to Ohio and run for office there and do something interesting. I mean, he's got so much energy. I feel like in some ways being VP would be too penned in for him.
Although in the age of social media, and he's a loudmouth in a good way, he would make a lot of noise in that office. And I think Trump's his life is liable. If he tries to be president again, it's a very dangerous place for his life.
Sure, and he's got a lot of civil cases going on. I mean, there are a lot of things calling for attention.
So I would say that VP role is probably more important now than it's been in my lifetime in 44 years. That's probably the most likely that a VP would become president.
Which is why Charlie Kirk suggested the right move would be to make Tucker Carlson the VP.
And Tucker was humble about it, but what do you think about that?
Tucker wanted Ian to be president.
Yeah, he agreed. I thought Charlie was talking about me. Well, Charlie said who it should be is the man sitting next to me, and I was sitting, and I was like, oh, well, thank you, Charlie. And Tucker was like, I'd vote for that. But do you think Tucker would be
poor Tucker? No.
Yeah. Do you think he'd be a good VP, T?
I think he'd be? There's a difference between journalism and governing, but maybe he could do it. I mean, he's certainly got the popularity and the people and the goodwill of the people, and that's what you need.
Who do you think
I don't have an opinion on the matter. I actually think that Tim is very brave for placing bets because I think all bets are off. I think it's impossible to predict what is going to happen. I mean, if flying saucer came through this window, that would not surprise me right now. I think all
Biden information would come
crazy.
out.
And to clarify, it's safe to tweet this because Will even said he was trolling a different tweet. So I don't know if there's any actual real bet.
I see.
But we're good. But my point is I would make the bet. I don't know, depending on whatever. But I did actually ask Will. Did you really?
I just think it's roulette.
And what are the laws on making a bet like that? I don't even know.
No, you have to pay taxes.
What if it's monopoly money? You can come
is there taxes for bet with your friends?
I don't know. Maybe
but he said that when he was saying when he said Trump was going to pick Nikki Haley, he was obviously trolling. He said,
okay.
He's poking fun at Trump for the idea that he might pick Haley.
That Bubba Wall tweets him off so badly.
Can't be DeSantis. It won't be DeSantis.
I think Tucker would be probably a good pick.
And I think he would accept if Trump asked him.
I think Charlie's right on that analysis.
I think Tucker could help Trump win, but you make a good point about journalism and commentary versus actual governance. Being a good political leader, it's not about knowing the issues. That's a component of it. It's about knowing how to navigate the system.
I really like Vivek's move with Strive, his company that's divesting away from ESG. This is what turned me on to him in the very beginning when I first met him. I didn't know who he was. Tim interviewed him. I think it was Charlie Kirk's studio. And I was just like, this guy knows how to solve the problem. The problem is BlackRock is trying to buy up the world, and he knows how to divest our resources away from BlackRock. By not complaining, he's creating a new system that we can go into.
For some reason, and I don't necessarily agree with this, I'm just telling you what is the reality. For some reason, people don't trust Vivek, or they're asking, who is this person? Many people in the Midwest have said, it's like Obama, this very, very, very intelligent, well-spoken guy, but they just don't seem to trust him or know him well enough. Like they, for example, trust Tucker. That's the read I'm seeing. By the way, I like most of what Vivek says. I interviewed Vivek, and him and I had great chemistry. He's ridiculously smart. I like what he says. He even understood what I do to a degree that most people don't. But for some reason, the people don't seem to. Do you see that? They don't seem to like. Who is this?
But I think that's because he's sort of
clearly they're
popped
racist.
out of nowhere.
Well,
don't throw the race card around. We're too close to the end of the year. No, I'm being serious. He sort of popped out of nowhere. I mean, a lot of people didn't know what his company did. He wrote his book. You know, it's all very fast. That's why I really do think if he were to, be the governor of Ohio, he can build this national name a little bit more, but also, really take Ohio to I mean, you're from Ohio, right? Like, he could do so much for that state and also eventually launch another presidential bid. I think it would be cool to see his beliefs applied on a small scale first. I think it would gain trust. I think people would believe in him more, and then he can do even more when he runs again.
I'm so in the moment right now. I don't know if there's going to be another presidential election, and that's not even a joke. So, I really want the best right now. And I agree with you that the trust in Vivek it's Vivek, just in case. Vivek.
What did I say?
Vivek.
Vivek.
Vivek. He came in like an outsider and okay, what's his politics stuff? And you could see him talking and not really sure exactly how much should I say right away? Let's go. And then as time went on, I think he became kind of a representative of what the people wanted from him, and he started speaking massive truth to power. And people were like, "Whoa, is this fake?" No, it's just doing what people want him to do.
The Christie line where he's like, "You sound like ChatGPT when you talk." Did you see that line? That was actually I'm not a huge Chris Christie fan. I thought it was kind of funny.
But it's
Vivek GPT.
Vivek sounds nothing like ChatGPT.
No.
Right? It was Chris Christie is just such a pathetic failure of a man. Donald Trump, more like Donald Duck. And then he smirks smiling like, I got him.
Well, there was a whole section of that debate where they just skipped him. He was so
I know, it was amazing. Donald Duck. If Trump keeps ducking dishes, they're going to call him Donald Duck. They're my mouth a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sold because of his economic policy, Vivek's. It's getting away from BlackRock. Because I'm not even concerned about the left-right paradigm, the Republicans, Democrats, any of that. I'm concerned with global banks trying to take over and fascize this country. It's been happening for 100 years, and you got the what's it called, the banker plot or the business plot? Yeah. They actually Sidney or what's that general's name that they tried to get to overthrow the U.S. Smedley Butler. These businessmen went to, according to Smedley himself, he blew the whistle on it. They came to him and tried to get him to stage a coup on FDR in 1933 or something. These businessmen, this fascist takeover, and Smedley was like, no, I love America, I love the First Amendment, and I'm not going to do that. And so those people, that ethos still exists in this country, and they've been just doing it slowly, incrementally. They got us off the gold standard. They got the Jekyll Island, they got the Federal Reserve set up. I don't.
Jekyll Island.
Yeah, we got to get away from these bankers, this bankers union thing, and create a more reputable country for the people. Something with local trade.
They don't want there to be country. They want there to be world.
Yeah, I'm open to that, but it's got to happen judiciously.
I'm just going to start referring to they as the enclave. Because what they'll try to do is when Vivek says they won't let you do it, they're like, aha, he's an anti-Semite. No, I'm not talking about Jewish people when we say they were talking about the intelligence agencies, the wealthy corporate elites. I'm just going to call it the enclave.
I feel like if there is a cultural war, which there seems to be a cultural conflict, that if we win, if the American ethos wins, that people all over Earth will overthrow their tyrannical governments and create First Amendment rights and gun rights, and they'll take control of their societies.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.
distracted. Are these your pants?
Head over to thebestsongever.com and purchase our new hit, Together Again. It is a cover of Smokey Mike and the God King, that's Jeremy Boring and Michael Knowles, and with your help, we will smash our way onto the Billboard charts. Well, let me pull up the story here from Politico. Trump allies and MAGA luminaries move to kill off the Haley for VP buzz. Haley's rise has prompted speculation she'd be a logical running mate for Trump. This is fake news. This is an absolutely fake story, and I'm willing to bet that these two people who wrote it fabricated it through clever manipulation. What I mean by that is, you take a morsel of truth, and you can make it mean whatever you want it to mean. You can make it convey whatever you want it to convey. Take a look at this.
Joining me now is somebody who needs no introduction, Tucker Carlson, founder of the Tucker Carlson Network. Tucker, it's great to see you, sir. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me, Tucker. Thank you.
Absolutely. I owe my entire career to this man, and I always say that to anybody who will listen. So I appreciate you very much, and especially, though, about what you're doing now. You've launched this new company, the Tucker Carlson Network. You're free of cable news, I think, for the first time in decades. So first and foremost, how does it feel, and what do you want to try and accomplish now that you are generally free of the system?
So I'm following your path. I probably never would have done it if it hadn't been done for me. So I'm grateful that I was unexpectedly bounced from my last job because, you know, inertia takes over and you get in your tunnel and you just do your thing every day. And having a daily show, as you know, is like, it's so busy that you can't think about anything in larger terms. So I'm sincerely glad that I was forced to make a change. I have, over the last year, really come to only read independent media, just because I don't trust anything else. So I'm proud to be in it. And what I want to do is really simple: create a news company that can't be canceled. I mean, having been, you know, I'm not whining about it, but, you know, having been silenced a couple of times, several times, I don't want that again. So, you know, you need a business model that is impervious to coordinated attacks against you, and that's the subscription model. Because I'm happy to have advertisers, but you can't be dependent on the whims of advertisers in a world where, you know, there are very well-funded organizations designed to bully advertisers into leaving you. So that's why we went with a subscription model, part subscription model. But mostly I want to do what you do, and I think most people in this world do. Cover the stories that are getting no attention at all, that are often the most important stories, certainly the most interesting stories, and be honest. Be really honest as you can possibly be, and you can only do that when you're in a certain headspace.
Absolutely.
And but I.
this earlier. I said there's likely a group of people in here who come because you got invited. You came because you didn't have anywhere else to be. You came because this is your last stop on a long road, and you're like, I'm going to go try that church because if I don't get an answer today, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. You might be at a place of desperation, and you need to discover Jesus for the first time. And guess what? That starts with repentance. The Bible says, confess with your mouth that He is Lord. Repent of your sins and be saved. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. It's not complex. It's just real hard to do. Because you got to get rid of yourself. You can't get rid of yourself until you see all of Him. But if that's you and you're like, Pastor Tommy, listen, I want what you got. I want what they have. I want what I'm seeing. I want freedom. And I want wholeness. And I want to be new. And I'm going to just trust that if you say that this Jesus who loves me is calling me, and I feel it in my heart, and if you're saying this is for me too, then I'm going to step out in faith and I'm going to believe it and I'm going to receive Jesus as my Lord, the director of my life, and my Savior, the sacrifice for my sin. If you would say that this morning, if you would say that's me, and I want to confess that I need Him, and I want to make Him Lord of my life. If that's you and you're in the room, do me a favor. Would you just slip up your hand? Would you just slip up your hand? Would you get saved today? Amen. Amen. Here at Redemption, we don't get saved alone. This is a family. We're putting you into the family. So for those of you who said that this morning, accepted Christ, and for those of you who are still down here, we're gonna say this together. We're gonna pray together. So everybody in the room out loud. Jesus, we are grateful for your sacrifice. We confess we couldn't do it on our own. But you came to us. You took my sin. And you died on the cross for me. And you rose again. That I might have eternal life. Come into my heart. Teach me how to live. Help me glorify you for the rest of my life. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Church, can we celebrate? Can we celebrate those? Amen. You just made the best decision of your life.
Did you just decide to follow Jesus? But we don't want you to take this walk of faith alone. Connect with us by texting the number at the bottom of your screen. First time here on iChurch? Well, we want to make you feel welcome. Connect with us by texting the number at the bottom of your screen. Have you enjoyed life groups this season and might want to lead your own? Let us know by clicking the link in the chat, and we'll get you more information about leading a group during our spring 2020.
A couple years ago, I ended up in a motorcycle accident. I didn't have health insurance at the time, and now I have a plan that keeps me covered for $9 a month.
All plans cover doctor visits, prescriptions, emergency care, and more. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll by January 16th.
Cole, he's my miracle child. So how does your miracle child get cancer? How does that happen?
It was a mass. Is it?
Huh. Alright, man. Good looking out. Thank you, Dimbula. Huh. Yeah, I've heard it takes like an hour sometimes to send out. That's something. I'll be getting with you this coming week about that order, Dimbula. Yeah, this came up. I was trying to find something good to watch or listen to, and I've seen this dude before. He's pretty legit. Yeah, it almost does look like Rob Zombie. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty legit. And then with the live looping, it's pretty nice. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Well, that happened. Bubble trash is not good. You talking about on the lip? I might cut it off, honestly. Sometimes you can get a more flat lip. Yeah, some's got to come off anyways. I'm trying to match it to these wine corks. I got a bag of like over 100 of them at Goodwill for like $4. I'm trying to find something that I could use them for. Something like this could work. I just need to cut some of that off. And then if that'll fit down in there, about to there. Not bad. My handy dandy scissors.
No living being should ever eat processed food for every single meal in their life. Good, real food is simple. It looks like food, it smells like food. It's what dogs are supposed to be eating. We really don't want people to think of feeding food like ours as spoiling their dogs.
It's amazing to me how many people write in about their dogs changing for the better. The farmer's dog was just our way to help people take care of them.
His only crime was being born into a cruel world. A world where he is only valued based on how much pain he can withstand. And keep on going, fighting for his life, with no one fighting for him. We will, little one. We will.
Yeah, that probably would. Yeah, I need to get some more. Definitely some of those like videos from Italy and whatnot. My other torch is a Carlisle, which actually was a lot of the glass blowers that do vessels like wine glasses and things like that. A lot of them use Carlisles. They're really good for blown work. Should have my Carlisle on for this actually. I usually prefer it for doing any hollow work. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm still stocking up on tools. I bought a guy out, and that was probably the best thing about it was the tools. And I got an oxygen tank out of it as well. Which you can usually find oxygen tanks for $100 or $200 used, but still, they're really nice to have. The thing about these corks is there's no taper to them. So it basically has to be exact. The tapered ones, you can kind of wing it. Yep. Thanks, man. Have a good one, Dimbula. Have a great day. Sounds like you got some good projects going, so cheers to you. I think that'll do. What's up, Heath? This just might be my last piece for the night. I've got a bunch of wine corks. I got a bag of like over 100 of them from Goodwill. So I'm trying to make like a jar, a smaller jar, cork jar that will work for these wine corks. Perfect. Christmas bulb. A mini. How was your day, Heath? No, I didn't hear about that, Heath. What happened? Sounds interesting. I'm gonna look it up. Sounds. Oh wow. It says vandalized by a former congressional candidate from Mississippi. Destroyed beyond repair. From Mississippi. Called the display blasphemous. 4th degree criminal mischief. Oh wow. Yeah, I'm reading about it right now, Heath. It's interesting. I mean, as freedom of expression, I would say yes, they should be able to. If it's just like any other gathering or like any other religion. Huh. They said at this one they don't actually worship Satan. He said, our statement today is to uphold religious freedom and freedom of speech. Huh. They said they don't even believe in the devil. In the existence of the devil. Huh. They do not promote the belief of a personal Satan. So yeah, I definitely think they should be allowed to have a gathering. So I mean, obviously the guy is getting charged with vandalism. Huh. Yeah, I just read the whole article of the Des Moines Register. Here's a video.
Just because the pill comes from a bottle like this doesn't mean it's safe. Make sure any medication you take comes only from your doctor or local pharmacist.
Here, I'll play it. Oh. There we go. Oh.
Weeks, you will see this in the rotunda. It's a holiday display put up by the Satanic Temple. ACCI's Bill Bowman went to the State House today to find out more about it.
The supporters of this group say if there can be a Christmas tree here in the Capitol, then they can display this put on by the Iowa Satanic Temple.
We're going to really relish the opportunity to be represented in a public forum. We don't have a church on every street corner.
Lucian Greaves, co-founder of the Satanic Temple, says this satanic display is a symbol for their right of religious freedom. He says if you don't like it, don't look at it.
My feeling is that if people don't like our displays in public forums, they don't have to engage with them. They don't have to view them.
It's a very dark, evil force. And I truly hope people know how to battle that.
Shelley Flockhart from Dallas Center says she was shocked to see it.
She was shocked to see it at the Capitol.
Okay, come on in.
Flockhart organized a prayer group on Wednesday around the Christmas tree in the center of the rotunda.
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely right about that one, Heath. Yeah, getting all this news coverage. Yeah.
Christmas tree in the center of the rotunda to oppose the satanic display near the stairwell. She calls it dark.
Yeah, he definitely only promoted it more.
Christmas tree in the center of the rotunda to oppose the satanic display near the stairway. He calls it dark and evil and says Christians should spiritually fight against it.
One, I hope people realize spiritual warfare is real, that there are evil, satanic forces that are trying to infiltrate our state.
I'm told the altar here will be on display at the State House for 14 days. At the State House, Bo Bowman, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
By the way, the Satanic Temple says it is a federally recognized non-theistic group that uses satanic symbols as a way to convey its message. The temple's website says its work includes publicly confronting hate groups and lobbying for abortion rights. It says it does not believe in the existence of Satan or the supernatural.
Huh. A fake satanic group. That's great. They're not even satanic. That's so funny. But yeah, that's wild. A fake satanic group. New Year's Day, we're actually having our Christmas. How about you? New Year's Day, we're actually having our Christmas. Oh, what's up, FJT? My bad, homie. I wasn't looking at that chat. New Year's Day, we're actually having our Christmas. Oh, what's up, FJT? My bad, homie. I wasn't looking at that chat. Yeah. Yeah, happy Christmas, FJT. Happy New Year. Yeah. Happy Christmas, FJT. Happy New Year. Not much, man. Just chilling. Been blowing some glass, hanging out, watching some videos. What's up with you? Not much, man. Just chilling. Been blowing some glass, hanging out, watching some videos. What's up with you? Oh, nice, Heath. A happy early birthday. For sure, FJT. Yeah, it's wild, man. It's 2024. What are you playing? P5? PS5? Oh, dang. Going with the old school zombies, huh? I played the new one. It's alright. Takes like 40 minutes to do a run, though. Without the sound of a Boeing. Oh, because you got a PS5 now, or? Nice. Yeah, the 5 is pretty nice. I like it. I've actually been preferring the console over the PC lately. And PS5 at that. It's really the go-to. Oh, dang, you going to Las Vegas at the end of January? I think I might be out in Tucson out there, but then. You should come to Tucson, Heath. I'm American, FJT. I'm from Ohio. Dang. Are you from... Are you in the U.S. or Ireland? I've got Irish in me. How far is that from Las Vegas? Here, let me look it up real quick. Performing Arts Festival, nice. In Las Vegas.
Well, I ain't got a dollar. I don't need a dime. I got a little spot in the country where I spend all of my time. When the sun goes down on this hill,
6 hours, 9 minutes, Heath. Dang, I wish it was closer.
pass it around and I ain't got a dollar, but I don't need a dime.
Oh, wow. Yeah, rest in peace. 9/11 victims. Oh, wow. Nice. So you're in Ireland. What time is it there, brother? There's a guy on here earlier and last night, Dimbula. He's from Australia. 16 hours ahead of us.
shining down. Long as my ocean still flies on up and there's crops growing in the ground. Have to pick some muscadines, ride off the vine, get a little yeast and make a little wine. 'Cause I ain't got a dollar, but I don't
Oh, wow.
need a dime.
You're on that night shift schedule, huh, bro? Yeah, Heath, I'm going to the Big Gem Show, Tucson. It is 10:36 here.
If it weren't for my old dogs and the good Lord,
PM.
they'd have me strung up in the psych ward. 'Cause every day living in this new world is one too many days to me. Son, we're on the brink of the next world war, and I don't think nobody's praying no more. And I ain't saying I know for sure. I'm just down on my knees, begging Lord, take me home. I just wanna go home. I don't know which road to go. It's been so long. I just know I didn't used to wake up feeling this way, cussing myself every damn day.
Yes, sir. FJT. God bless America. And God bless Ireland.
I'll just do what the TV say, and I wanna go home.
I'm not sure if she is, Heath. She was going to, but she may not now, so. It's the one she was talking about going to, though.
7 generation farming the ground. Grandson sells it to a man from out of town. 2 weeks later, trees go down. Only got concrete growing around, and I wanna go home. I wanna go home. I don't know which road to go. It's been so long. I just know I didn't used to wake up feeling this way, cussing myself every damn day. There's always some kind of bill to pay. People just doing what the rich man say. And I wanna go home.
Yeah, you too, man. FJT's good talking with you.
Gotta get sober.
You have a good one.
Got to start living right. I don't know how it's gonna go, but it ain't gonna happen tonight. So pour 'em down strong till I drown. And if I wake up tomorrow when that sun comes, and if I wake up tomorrow when that sun comes, I'll be wishing I was sober. Well, the liquor and the bowl, they've been saving my soul from the pain that the world's put on me. Lord, I know that upstairs there's an old man who cares, and one day he'll set me free. I'll go on the wind, start writing the hymn that sounds so sweet. But the troubles and the sin of the world that we're in knock me back on.
Alright, Heath. I think I'm going to call it for the night. Thanks for chatting. Good night, man. I'll catch you on here sometime soon. I might take tomorrow off, but maybe Monday night on your birthday. Happy early birthday, man. Alright, I'll catch you later.